my God. Did you hear? Shh. Allegedly. Hello and welcome to a special Valentine's Day edition of Allegedly Allyn and Ash. I'm Allyn.
And I'm Ash.
And today we're going to switch it up. We're doing Wednesdays instead of Tuesdays now because on Wednesdays we wear pink. Or we put it in our backgrounds, whatever feels good for us. And this is a very special edition because Valentine's Day is today, and we're going to be focusing a lot about love and hate, maybe, because they're so closely related, as well as Mean Girls and a bunch of other fun topics. So,
yeah, and the last couple weeks we've asked you guys to submit some of your unique love stories, and actually we got a couple surprising ones. We got one that wasn't so happy and kind of want to makes your jaw drop, and I was like, oh, when I was reading it.
Makes your phone want to drop too.
I know. So if you want to, we can start with our Mean Girls section, because I came into the Mean Girls movie with expectations already that I was going to hate it. Okay. It was based on how people were already talking about it, me reading reviews about it. Now, Mean Girls, the musical, came out on January 12th. Okay. Mm-hmm. So even the previews, they tried to make it not look like a musical because I guess, according to some, musicals don't do as well in the theater for some reason.
I find that so surprising because I know that just Broadway in itself and just musicals have such a cult following and dedicated fan base. So I always find that surprising to find that they don't translate to box office smashes, but I guess they don't. I guess I'm just a nerd who likes that stuff. It's
different when you're actually watching it live and in a theater because of the feelings that you get. It's hard to put that on screen. For me, even being a theater kid, it doesn't connect well on screen.
Tell that to the millions of people who have watched Hamilton on Disney Plus like 200 times a piece.
Yeah, that's true. Me, on the other hand, I don't know, because the way I grew up and when I watch shows, it's just that instant connection, emotional feeling when you're there as opposed to watching on a screen. There feels like a disconnect for me, but that's just me. But I pushed through it, and Mean Girls came out January 12th. There was a lot of fiery talk about it because Lindsay Lohan, the original OG from the 2004 Mean Girls, she made a cameo in it. And there was just one spot in the movie where Megan Thee Stallion does a cameo. And she's like, we're bringing Firecrotch Y2K back. And if you don't know, back in the 2006, 2007, yeah, Paris Hilton was gallivanting around with this guy named Brandon Davis, who's like an oil millionaire heir. And they apparently had like a falling out with Lindsay.
Lohan's movie bombed because she's a firecrotch. She's orange, she's not black, white, she's orange.
And yes, I know that firecrotch has been a fucking term forever for redheads because that's just how people are. They're evil. But Brandon coined it to Lindsay and was talking all this major shit about her. Okay. So it was devastating for her. It was just something that, and people in the media would bring it up. People put it on TV, and that's what they would call her for a while.
Yeah. But, and this was all over some guy, that Stavros guy, that Greek, Nepo baby guy. I don't know his last name. I can't remember, but it was Stavros something. I think it's because they both dated him.
I don't know. But so when that thing came out in the movies and Lindsay went to the preview of the movie, like the screening, she didn't know that was going to be in there. And it's just like, she's coming back out of the, she didn't have to come back and do a cameo. So even saying that in the movie, even though it wasn't towards her, was kind of like a big F you to her in a way. I mean, her publicist spoke out and said she was kind of hurt by it. She didn't know it was coming.
Yeah.
And she's left that behind. She's got a family. She's got a husband. She's got a baby. And she didn't have to come back to the movie. And actually, her cameo was so cute, and it was longer than a minute. It was great because she was hosting the Mathletes thing.
tournament.
That iconic scene. Yes.
Yeah. I think it's really fucked up that nobody thought to warn her. Like, hey, just so you know, this joke is in here. Like, in general, I think if you are going to invite on an icon like Lindsay to reprise a role or to do a cameo like that, you should absolutely warn her about anything that's said about her in the movie. Like, that's just common decency. And the fact that they didn't tells me they knew it was wrong.
Yeah. And I guess I don't know what a lot of people were expecting from this movie / musical, because like I said, I went in there with expectations that it was going to suck. So I already had like a wall up when I went to go sit in this movie, and I took my daughter with me. We got in there, and the first part was a little hard to get used to because it was slightly cringy. You know how you have to connect to the characters and you're so used to your 2004 OG characters? So I'm sitting there watching it, and I'm looking at my daughter, and we're trying not to laugh because it's a little cringy. But I'll tell you what, Allyn, towards the middle of the movie, I started to, kind of let my wall down. And I knew what scenes were coming up because I've seen the original Mean Girls so many times. So I kind of prepared, and I remember I sent you clips about it.
Yeah.
I was like sneaking in the movie theater like, and what was I going to say? It was cool to see how they changed the scene and made it their own, but still kept to the original movie. And I'll tell you what, my favorite characters, it wasn't that girl that played Katie. I'll tell you.
Angourie Rice is her name.
Okay. I felt a disconnect with her until towards the middle of the movie when I felt like her acting finally came through. But Renee Rapp for Regina George, that bitch
so
can
good.
sing. She can fucking sing.
I mean, sing the house down, boots, whatever. That girl is so talented. I just cannot even deal with it. Like, her vocals are ridiculous.
Yeah, my favorite scene in the movie is when they're at the Halloween party and she goes up to Aaron Samuels and, says, well, my friend, she's a little weird. And then it transfers into like this dark scene in the living room and everybody slows down and they start doing these like movements. And there's where the connect went for me with music, because that scene just all connected and they made it longer than it usually was, obviously, because of the song. And when she kisses him and everything just flows, it's like, it was like just a little mismatch of relations. And I fucking love it. And actually, sorry to keep ranting, but the girl who played Karen, I read reviews that she wasn't good and had a disconnect, so I had that expectation that she was going to suck. No, she was probably one of the best. And her song that she was doing pre-Halloween party, getting ready for it, it was so fun and awesome. I'll tell you, the girl who played Gretchen Wieners didn't do it for me, though. She lacked some kind of spark.
Yeah, well, and the Lacey Chabert, the original Gretchen Wieners, is just, she's got that something, and the way that she just delivers her lines is just so perfect. And so I feel like this girl just didn't have that like pep. She didn't have that oomph.
No, it was really lackluster for me, and it brought me out of the zone for a minute. But there were some that took it for me, and there were some that.
Do you think that the reason that sometimes this casting feels so weird is because, this whole Mean Girls thing, it's weird because it's kind of an adaptation, it's kind of a remake, and it's kind of none of those things. Because it's like, it takes all of the original story and all of the original characters, but it is really different. And they did try to like make it marketable to the younger generations now. Like, we saw it and when we were in high school as millennials, and now Gen Alpha is in high school now, is that right? Or is it Gen Z? I get mixed up between those two, but one of them is in high school right now. And I wonder if the way that they've had to change the characters to be like now cool girls, because cool girls now are not the same as cool girls when we were in high school. So maybe that's why we're not having these like connections to them, because what's cool now just feels weird to us.
I don't know. They talked a lot about how it was all about cell phones and I think, but that's what the life is right now. That's exactly what it is. It's all social media and stuff. So they incorporated that. You can't go back on that. And I know this is not part of like the connection, but they also said that the sets were done cheap. A lot of the scenes that were done out in different places, they cut a lot of that. And I guess it was because it was like a musical, so they kept it in the same spaces, like the mall scene where everybody was like, and they did that in the high school. I was like, well, it's like it's almost the same, but not the same, so it kind of ticks you off. But anybody who didn't watch the old Mean Girls, my daughter just watched it for the first time before we went to see the movie. She didn't. She's like, she knew a little bit because she's seen clips, but she didn't. I was like, listen, if we're going to go see this movie, you've got to see this one. And we sat and watched the whole thing.
Which one did she like better?
She said she wanted to see the, she said she wanted to see the Mean Girls musical again. So I'm thinking
she liked that one. Interesting.
She's 13, so she did like that.
I mean, she's probably like the target demographic for the new one, right? Well, actually, I'm not sure. Maybe that's the problem with this movie, is it has a target demographic problem, because it is in a lot of ways catered to millennials who enjoyed and loved the first original Mean Girls. Yeah. But then it's also catering to whatever generations are like really into the Broadway version of it, which is a totally different thing. Like it's somewhere between us and between like the youth right now. But then they're also trying to cater to like teenage girls and teenage boys of right now. And maybe that's the problem with it, is it's like it cast too wide of a net. And so it didn't hit anyone particularly correctly.
Well, I don't know. I guess I give the movie like if I'm going to be honest, a 6 out of 10, because I did enjoy it, but it wasn't my favorite. It has its ups and downs. I wouldn't choose to watch that one again. I'd choose to watch OG Mean Girls, and that's what I stand with.
But do you think, like, if you had not even seen Mean Girls before, like you went in completely fresh, would you have liked this movie at all?
I can't even think about that because I've 20 years of knowing what I know. You know?
Yeah, I hear you.
It wouldn't be something I would go to see because I only saw it because of the original movie. It's not something I would go to fucking watch.
Yeah, I hear you. I think I would, because I love musicals. I'll go see any musical. I'm just like that. But I'm niche in that way. I don't think I represent the general population. I just love a good musical. I love Broadway. I wish that they would film more Broadway shows the way that they filmed Hamilton professionally and gave it to us, because Broadway is not very accessible to most people. Like, it's something that you might get to do once or twice in your life if you're lucky, because it's so expensive to go to New York and to buy those tickets and to stay in a hotel and do all the things. It's very expensive. So I wish they'd do more Broadway adaptations for the general public. That's just me.
I remember seeing Wicked on not Broadway. It was in my home state, and I accidentally got front row tickets. Yeah, Broadway on tour. I saw Wicked, and I don't ever buy front row because you can see all the makeup and their wig caps and everything. It was way, way, way too close. It was amazing, but don't get front row because it's fucking close.
Do you know how I saw Wicked? Because this is kind of funny.
How did you see Wicked? Okay.
So it was in not my hometown, but near where I was living in college. They had Broadway on tour. It was probably the same tour that we saw, honestly. I bet it was.
Probably.
And this theater was offering like a lottery system where you could show up early in the morning and like put your name in and then come back at like 1 or 2 in the afternoon and find out if your name was drawn. So me and my friend, my roommate at the time, went out there and did that. And we won, and we were so excited. We were just freaking out. And then we got into our seats, and we were literally sitting behind a column, just in front of our entire faces. So these free seats, the reason they gave them to us was because you couldn't see the stage. I had to do this in order to see anything. I was so upset.
What the fuck?
Did it was free.
Say anything?
No, I mean, what are you going to do? You're given a free ticket. But I wish they had said,
you didn't have tickets for closer seats. You just wanted to see if you could get drawn to get in to see the show.
Yeah, it was a lottery system, and I won. But they didn't tell us before the lottery, like, hey, the seats you're going to win, you can't actually see the stage unless you are hurt yourself. So I'll probably never do that again.
Yeah, no, that doesn't sound exciting. But hey, at least I don't know.
Yeah, I was hurting after that because I literally watched the show like this. And it was a big column. It was like it blocked both of our seats.
Jesus Christ. No. Well, speaking of Mean Girls and musicals and stuff, me and Allyn came out with a list of Hollywood's meanest girls. Now, they may not necessarily be the top meanest girls, but they're the ones that we kind of selected, or I kind of selected, to talk about just because of things that are currently going around right now that'll link this whole podcast together.
Okay.
And we also, just to even it out, because this is like a Mean Girls / Lovey episode, we picked out some Hollywood nice celebs too, and added a couple stories. But one of the ones, because our girl Brittany is not a mean girl, but I would call her rival, Christina Aguilera, has been labeled one of the Hollywood's meanest girls. And I'm going to pull up some things about her because I was actually shocked a little bit. So
really,
yes,
I haven't really heard that many stories about her, so I'm very interested to hear what you found, because I haven't ever heard of her being nice either, but I wasn't aware of her being known as a mean girl.
And what justified my decision in picking her as one of the mean girls is because there is a clip just currently going around of Christina walking in the backstage of the Grammys, and how she just had her nose turned up and everything like that. And they're like, she just looks like a mean girl. And it made me want to delve into her just a little bit more, because I was curious. I kind of want to start with, do you know who Valerie Bertinelli is?
I've heard the name for sure.
Like, she's an older American actress. Okay, cool. She's been in a couple sitcoms and other things. Well, this came exactly from her mouth. Now, I found a lot of the things about the mean celebs on this website called NikkiSwift.com. So she just goes into detail about everything and pulls all these facts together. So she was on Watch What Happens Live with Andy Cohen, and they were talking about Christina, and she's like, I didn't have a feud with her. I was a fan at the time, a long time ago, and I went up to her because she was backstage at a Van Halen concert, and I said, oh my God, I think you're a beautiful singer. She said Christina gave her the cold shoulder, turned her back to her, and said, yeah, whatever.
Ooh.
And Valerie goes, she gave me the cold shoulder, and I thought, bitch, I'm a fan. You can't be nice to me. She might have gotten better, but I heard she hasn't. And that was from
Damn.
I know.
Yeah, I mean, listen, she gives me not nice vibes. If I'm honest, I've never felt like a friendly vibe from her the same way that I feel from someone like Britney Spears, who seems warm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But, when people show appreciation towards you and you just go, yeah, and walk away, it's, I don't like it.
They also said she was really difficult on the set of The Voice.
Oh, do they have any stories about that?
Yeah. A source told Radar Online in 2015 that Christina is such a terror to work with. She is frequently late, and she doesn't even seem to care or apologize for holding up the filming of the show. And to make matters worse, she was constantly fighting with Adam Levine. They cannot stand each other. She carries on and makes a scene. She holds up and helds up production, and that her diva demands included having a staffer whose sole job was to massage her feet at 30-minute intervals.
Okay, diva. Okay. I mean, listen, Christina Aguilera has the voice to back it up in terms of you have earned your right to act like a diva because girl can sing. But, it's so interesting. I think a lot about Christina that really just rubs me the wrong way is the way that I feel like she seems to really not enjoy the fact that people who she thinks don't sing as well as her have been more popular or sold more records than her and things like that. The whole thing with Britney Spears and her, as far as I have heard, seems to be centered around the fact that she doesn't understand why Britney was more successful than her because she, in her mind, is much more talented naturally.
That's debatable. You don't have to be a good singer to be a good performer. Britney brought all to the table. She brought spunk. She brought her little Southern girl charm. She brought the energy. She brought the dancing. She wasn't hateful or spiteful or thought that her shit didn't stink. She connected with people, and not necessarily, she's no Celine Dion, but it's Britney. And she was acting and she was dancing, and we grew up with her on the Mickey Mouse Club. If you ever watched the Mickey Mouse Club, just because you can hold a note and sing and belt it out doesn't mean that people are going to like you and want to watch you. Christina gives me that. I get turned off by Christina Aguilera because I can see that diva-ish attitude.
She's just kind of icy, just in the way that she delivers her messaging and the way that she speaks to people. I get that icy vibe. So you're right. And Britney always gave off that girl next door vibe. I mean, I feel bad pitting them against each other because I'm not trying to be like, oh, women against women. Like, that's not what I'm about. At the same time, there is a long track record of known issues between the two, particularly coming from Christina's side, as far as I can tell. I think that Christina was resentful of the fact that Britney Spears was being heralded as a sex symbol. And so she didn't understand why people weren't seeing her that way. But, for Britney's part, as far as I can tell, she always had nothing but nice things to say about Christina.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I feel like Christina has been a little shady towards her, but you know.
Yeah. Well, I'm just reading what I'm seeing. Do you know? Oh, go ahead.
No, you go.
She used to date one of her dancers.
Christina?
And I didn't. Yeah. She used to date one of her dancers, and she was on RuPaul's Drag Race in 2018. And I don't know if she meant to, but she didn't name a name, but she kind of outed him in a way because she said, I didn't know at the time he played for the same team. And maybe she thought she was being a little mysterious, but people put two and two together and noticed she was talking about the dancer that she used to date, her dancer back then. So it's this little side eye, under eye things that she says that, And then she had one more thing. She had a long feud with Lady Gaga, which started in 2008, where she was accused of stealing Gaga's look when promoting Bionic. Her response was not the best because she told the Los Angeles Times, that's funny that you mentioned that. This person, Lady Gaga, was just brought to my attention not too long ago. I'm not quite sure who this person is, to be honest. I don't know if it's a man or a woman. I just wasn't sure. I really don't spend any time on the internet, so I guess I live under a rock in that respect.
So I don't know her, like the same way that Mariah does J-Lo. I don't know her. That's the oldest trick in the book, diva.
Yep.
Of course you know Gaga. Don't lie. Don't lie. You at that time, Gaga was already big and making it. And so you can't say that you're not aware of your peers like that. And the shady part saying, I don't know whether it's a man or a woman, when there were a lot of rumors going on around Gaga, there was some very gross rumors about what kind of genitals she had and
That makes me so mad.
Yeah, and she had the best response to it ever. She was on that interview and somebody was like, yeah, what do you have to say about people who say that you have a penis? And she's just like, my fans don't care if I have a penis and neither do I. And she was sitting there chewing on ice and just like, so who cares? They're all about the music.
Exactly. I love Lady Gaga.
Yeah, I love her too. I adore her. She's one of my very favorite musicians ever.
Yeah. I want to see her in concert. I haven't yet, but I'm not really a concert. I'm lucky bitch.
It was
lucky
so
bitch.
Good. I've seen a lot of big ones though. I'm a concert goer. I've seen Gaga, Beyonce, Sia, Britney, Lizzo.
Jesus.
Yeah. I mean, there's way more than that. More. I go to a lot of concerts, or at least I did. So, speaking of Mean Girls, I think we have to talk about Jennifer Lopez because.
Okay.
I've never seen a story about her being nice. I've seen so many stories about her being mean, including the one, do you know Heather Morris from Glee? She played Brittany S. Pierce on,
yes.
on Glee. Yeah, the cheerleader. She once told a story because, she started out as a dancer, and she once told a story that a friend of hers who was also a dancer went to auditions for J-Lo. And at one point, J-Lo walks in the room and they had been there like all day auditioning. And she just goes, if you're a Virgo, can you please raise your hand? And whoever was a Virgo raised their hands. And she said, you can all leave. Sorry, but what? You're making creative decisions on people's career based on their star sign, and just like that, after letting them sit there, dance all day and audition? What?
Wow.
There's also tons of stories. And I read through personal anecdotes on Reddit and things like that of people who had worked for her or their family had worked for her in some way. Like, she's notorious for telling people that they are not allowed to look her in the eye.
Yes.
Like, and if you do look her in the eye or speak to her, you're fired.
Fuck
Allegedly.
that shit.
Allegedly.
Fuck that shit. No, bitch. Your shit stinks just like mine does, you stupid bitch. I'm sorry. It does. You have the same bathroom issues as we do. Yeah. It says that
probably not as me.
Allegedly, J-Lo doesn't allow her drivers to look her in the eye either. They could be subjected to a scolding. Fuck you, bitch. Then drive your own car.
I read a story from someone whose father ran a driving company, and he notoriously wouldn't work for J-Lo because she would literally fire people for looking in the rear view mirror to check traffic, and she'd be like, you're trying to look at me. Shut the fuck up.
Literally what I have pulled up right now. And it also says allegedly she has a peculiar rule when she's getting out and she's got luggage, she doesn't want her luggage touching the ground.
Yes. And if it touches the ground, you're fired.
You're fired, Miss J-Lo Trump.
I know, right? I mean, very similar. It's just crazy to me that people allow her to get away with this diva ass behavior when she can't even sing, really. Sorry. I don't even think she's very good. I gotta say
something about that. We gotta talk about that really quick. Okay.
Yeah.
So they've got this there's a hit show going around called The Bear, and it's starring Jeremy Allen White. If you don't know who Jeremy Allen White is, guys, he played in Shameless as oh my God, which Gallagher was he? Oh my God. Well, anyway, there is a co-star on there, and forgive me if I pronounce her name wrong. It's Ayo Abadiri, and she's in The Bear as well as his sous chef, whatever. Now that it's being more bringing to light of that, there is. So Ayo and Jennifer Lopez were both on SNL a couple weeks ago. Okay?
Yes, she was hosting, and J-Lo was the singing talent. I say that with quotes.
So listen, people, you know how internet detectives are. They dug up and they found the podcast that Ayo was on with one of her friends a couple years ago, before she was talking about how J-Lo was the world's biggest scam and that she can't sing. Now, she wasn't really necessarily trashing her or anything like that. It's just everything she said was true, was nothing mean. And people are like, well, now that does J-Lo know? I don't think J-Lo cares, by the way. And I think that Ayo backtracked on her statements that she said then.
Yeah, she came out and apologized this week and said basically I was really young when I said that and I wasn't thinking, and I respect the shit out of J-Lo and stuff like that. But it is funny that they were then hosting together. But she's not the only person in the world who's ever said that. I have a whole series, Dirty Pop, and I have 4 or 5 videos talking about J-Lo using ghost singers, because she's been called out for it lots of times. And it's not a rumor, it's confirmed. Yes, her voice is there, but they use heavily other vocalists in her songs. And everybody's like, oh, that's just normal in the industry and blah, blah, blah. Well, yes, it is normal to have other vocalists on there, but it's not normal to not credit them and then bury J-Lo's vocals underneath it where you can't even hear her.
I'm just going to be honest with you right now. She can't sing. It's normal. It's a normal voice.
It's not good.
But does that take away from her entertainment performer aspect of her as a person? No, she's a great performer.
I don't enjoy her.
You think it does?
I don't enjoy her. I just don't. I don't like watching, even when they make her voice sound as good as it possibly can. It's irritating to me. I don't like it.
I liked her back when I liked her. Back in the 2000s. And me and my grandma enjoy her movies, like Made in Manhattan and the one with Matthew McConaughey we'll watch all the time, The Wedding Planner. I like her movies.
It's all right.
I really do. I do.
Yeah. I definitely prefer her to a rom-com actress over a singer. Have you seen that video? Because you know how have you seen the video? Because J-Lo's new song is "This Is Me Now," and there's this guy, and he sings it. He goes, "This is me now." Good, because it was Ashanti back then. As Ashanti quite famously did a lot of her ghost vocals.
And the last thing about J-Lo and allegedly is her and her husband, Ben Affleck, are allegedly known as very bad tippers.
Mm-hmm. No, actually, hang on. You've got that a little twisted because I read about this.
Okay.
Ben is an amazing tipper. Ben
Really?
would go around. I've read stories. Allegedly, he would like go around when they were together. There was a story about him in a casino, and he was giving these people just major tips. I think it was a TikTok video I saw, just big ass tips. And then J-Lo went around behind him and took the money back because she said he over tipped. So she's a bitch, allegedly. Like, if this is true, you know, we don't know. This is rumor.
We don't know. It's all alleged. I get that, but I can believe it. That's how the rich stay rich. They don't spend their money.
I can't imagine going behind my husband and being like, "Hey, waitress, give me that money that my husband gave you back." That's fucked up.
It is. Fuck that shit. Well, if you don't want to talk about J-Lo anymore, there's so many pages of her just obviously all can't be untrue.
No, if you have more stories, go. I don't have any more stories, I don't think. Although you said that and then I remembered the casino story, so maybe I have them in my brain space.
She refused to respond to a flight attendant who spoke directly to her. She said, allegedly, a flight attendant told Star magazine that she's a diva and doesn't speak directly to people outside of her inner circle. The flight attendant said, "What can I get you to drink?" But Jennifer refused to acknowledge her, and she turned her head away and told her personal assistant, "Please tell him I'd like a Diet Coke."
Ew.
And then she wouldn't even look at him. No, I could never do that.
You know, actually, I just remembered I did have another story about her. I just was distracted, so I forgot about it. But, like, you know, we have all these stories about her being mean to people that she would consider probably underlings, like people that are working for her and things like that. But there's also stories of her being mean to people she's worked with in the past that were on the same level. Like, you know, she was on In Living Color. And there's an actor that was on the show with her called Tommy Davidson. And he told a story about basically like they were at an industry event together and she had like taken off at this point and he walked up to her and they worked together. So he knew her and they were like at the little craft table and he was just going to tell her like, "Hey, you're good for you. You've really taken off. I'm excited for you." Basically what he said. And she just literally was like, "Thanks," and turned and walked away from her ex-coworker. Bitch. I can't deal with this diva shit.
Like I said, all these stories, there's got to be one in the bunch that's true. And, you know, sometimes you might have a divaistic day, but to constantly have these things that are like stacking up, it's gotten to her head, and that's a lot of things have gotten to her head, and it's clear. But speaking of a lot of things that have gotten to her head, there are some celebrities out there who have stayed humble and as cool as a cucumber. So did you want to talk about some of the nicest celebrities out there that are complete opposite from these divalistic doo-doo birds?
I would not be able to have this conversation about nice celebrities without bringing up Miss Saint Dolly Parton.
Good old Dolly Parton.
Saint Dolly Parton. I mean, by every account possible, this woman is an actual saint put here on earth, but also just an all-around nice person. I'm just going to list off, though, a couple of things that she's done. Like, she's one of the kindest celebrities and one of the most giving celebrities ever. So she has donated to save bald eagles when they were almost going extinct. She donates books to children. She started in 1995, the Imagination Library. They mail out 1.5 1.5 million free books every month to children. Like, ridiculous. Even back in the 80s or 90s, when it was very controversial to speak out on behalf of people with AIDS or HIV, she was already donating to support finding a cure to that, even though that was very stigmatized at the time. When the Pigeon Forge wildfires happened a couple years back, she had the Dollywood Foundation, which is her theme park, but it has a foundation, and they were giving $1,000 a month to every victim of that wildfire that lost their home. And then they actually ended up with so much excess money that at the final month, she was able to give everybody $5,000. So she gave $12.5 million to Sevier, I think it's called, Sevier County, from that foundation. So that's just a couple of I'm positive that doesn't cover all of the things that she's ever done. But she, by all accounts, is just like a girl's girl. She supports people. She's kind. I even read a story on Reddit from someone that said they were somewhere in Tennessee and they went to their friend's birthday party. It was a karaoke party. And I guess her friend had either worked with or for Dolly at some point. So Dolly Parton showed up to this birthday party and sang backup singer karaoke for everybody at the whole party in the bar.
She is just the most adorablest little human being on the planet.
I love her so much. Like, this is one of my most prized, cherished. I have a RuPaul one too, but I actually don't feel like he is a saint. I do feel Dolly deserves the saint candle though. I love RuPaul, don't get me wrong, but not the same level of sainthood for me.
Yeah. Did you want to talk about Jennifer Aniston too? Because you have a story.
Jennifer Aniston is generally known in Hollywood as being a very kind, down-to-earth person, despite the fact that she is so incredibly famous and well-known. And, you know, I have a lot of friends in the industry here in Atlanta because there's a lot of filming going on, and most of my best friends are in the industry. So I always ask them, like, who's nice, who's not? Like, I want to know. Mm-hmm. And by all accounts, Jennifer Aniston is one of the kindest, like, most real actresses that people have worked with in this town. Because a lot of the bigger ones will come in and have, like, kind of a snobby air, or like you can't speak to them or get near them. Mm-hmm. But she is not like that. She's super kind and, like, remembers people's names. So I think that's really nice. I've also heard a similar thing about Zoe Kravitz is really, really nice to work with. And she will remember everybody's names. And she even, for one set that she worked on, she one day just surprised the entire cast and crew with, like, an ice cream truck as, like, a thanks for treating her nice on set. Like, she's a sweetheart.
See, it's the little things that count and people remember. It's those little things that it doesn't take very much, you know?
Yeah.
It doesn't take very much at all. Mm-mm. Oh, my gosh.
I have to burp. Oh, God.
So,
we'll cut that out.
Don't cut it out. Don't cut it out.
I'm disgusting. Disgusting.
On a Reddit post from June 2023, a writer put in, Jennifer Aniston is a sweetheart. She seemed very genuine and kind. I met her in a restaurant bathroom of all places. We talked for so long, her friend had to come and find her. So see?
Yeah. She's a sweetheart, man. She really is. Like, everything I've ever heard is just nice, nice, nice. And she shoots in Atlanta a lot, so I've heard from multiple people.
I bet J-Lo doesn't even use public bathrooms. And if she did, she wouldn't let anybody else go in there but her. There'd be security out the door. Mm.
So, you know what? I actually wanted to surprise you with a little bit of a debate on...
Okay. Oh, God.
Mean girl, nice girl. Okay?
Okay.
So... as you know, this week there has been some controversy surrounding Taylor Swift with the Grammys.
Oh, yeah.
Now, there's two different controversies here, right? There's the one where she went up because Celine Dion came out of basically retirement and almost hiding because she's really sick with stiff person syndrome. She came out to give Album of the Year to Taylor Swift, and Taylor Swift didn't seem to acknowledge her, definitely didn't acknowledge her in the speech, at the very least didn't say, like, wow, what an icon, I can't believe, you know, whatever. Didn't say that. And then there's also the fact, and this is where people are calling her a mean girl, that she brought Lana Del Rey up on stage with her to accept that award when Lana had lost that award. So there are certain people saying, I can't believe we're not calling out Taylor Swift for being a mean girl, for pulling up Lana Del Rey on stage with her like that and embarrassing her. So I wonder what you think, because I know you're a Swiftie.
I am. I keep watching that and replaying in my head. When she won, Lana was obviously excited and happy for her friend. And I saw what I saw. I saw her literally drag Lana up there, and Lana kept saying, you could tell without having any lip reader that she didn't want to go up there. And then
she looked uncomfortable.
She did. I know that Lana and her worked on a song together on Taylor's album, but still, at the same time, how can you compete? Like, Taylor always wins everything. It's getting a little consuming in a way. I love her, but it's consuming. And when she gets up on stage and she's hugging everybody and flopping around, I don't know if she had something too much to drink or what, but I made a video about it. You are either damned if you do, damned if you don't. And we can't really see. There was no eye contact really made with Celine. Celine's sitting there holding out the album or the Grammy, right?
Right.
And Taylor walks up and she's like, oh my God. And she doesn't even look at Celine to say thank you or anything. Not that we can see. There's so much debate about her. And after the speech and everything, there's an instant picture of them back in the back. People say that was her PR saying, you need to go fucking make this right. But you watch, okay, I'm comparing this too, because Miley won for her song Flowers, Record of the Year, and Mariah Carey presented it. Miley was excited that Mariah Carey was the one presenting it. Yeah. That was Miley's first ever Grammy, okay? So she's like, no, stay up here with me. Stay up here with me because, and then she's like, I wasn't going to tell the story, but I'm going to tell a story now. She talked about the butterfly. The little boy that was looking for the butterfly fell asleep, and then the butterfly was on his nose. She's like, this song is my butterfly. There was such a vast difference. And for Taylor to be in the industry for 20 years and not acknowledge.
Yeah, I mean, it just seems so obvious to me that you would just, at the very least, say something, because she there's no way she doesn't know what's going on with Celine Dion, like an icon that can no longer really perform or sing because of stiff person syndrome. There's no way she doesn't know that. And for her to not just say, like, I'm so honored that Celine Dion came out during what would seem like a very hard time in her life in order to present me with this honor. Thank you so much. You ran so that I could walk, like it seemed like she should have said something like that. Just the fact that it wasn't even acknowledged that she was there it was weird.
It was, and I don't think Celine holds any ill will towards her, because I think Celine posted something on X, formerly known as Twitter or something, or somebody posted for her talking about how nice it was with Taylor, and she had nothing to, I don't think she took it the way the general Taylor population is taking it, though. But we see what we see, and we take it for what it is. And I saw her being, well, she's won the damn album of the year 4 times.
Yeah.
Okay, she's not new to this thing about so. Oh, yeah. And you know what? Country star Toby Keith passed away of stomach cancer. He passed away February 5th, okay?
Yeah.
And Taylor Swift said Toby Keith is the one who got her started and helped her. So yeah. I just find it odd that she has not said anything. And no, you can't say something for every person that you know that passed, but yeah, you can actually.
Yeah, but she has a career because of him.
There's no acknowledgement yet.
It is really weird. And I do, the thing about Taylor is maybe this is why we're not sure if she's a mean girl or not, because she is so careful about what she says and what she puts out there. She almost never makes a statement on something. She really doesn't. She just stays quiet and lets the media play out. And then sometimes she'll come back a few years later and make a statement about it, like she recently did with the stuff with Kim and Kanye. She didn't say anything about it for a really long time, except through her music, little hints that maybe she was acknowledging it. But until her Time Person of the Year article this year, she never really spoke on it.
She's brave for that. I was so happy when she said something about it that Kim Kardashian orchestrated the whole thing and altered that phone call.
Yeah.
And we clearly heard that phone call. And somebody leaked that, or we would have never known what was on that full phone call. She said, I need time to think about it.
Right.
And lo and behold, not even a couple months later, that song's on there. And she's like, what the... And they made her out to... But the phone call that was released that Kim was recording...
Right.
She made it seem like Taylor was okay with it, and Taylor didn't have anything to back it up or prove that she didn't. She moved to London, and she was sad, and she was a recluse, and she came up with her Reputation album, and damn, and she was just all fire, all sparks, all snake. You know, she embraced it, and this is before we had found out. This was before we found out that the call had been altered, and she went away and found herself, and everybody was calling her all these damn things, and it's so
yeah. I don't know, like, there's something, I like Taylor's music. I really respect her artistry, and I think she's a very talented songwriter, but there is something about her that I'm not sure, it's not feeling super authentic, you know, like this nice girl act doesn't feel real to me. And so I am kind of on the fence on whether I think she's secretly a mean girl. You know, there's a lot of stories from her high school, people that went to high school with her, saying that she was not beloved, and she was icy, and it maybe because she was already focusing on trying to get famous, like she was kind of not around that much, so people didn't really get to know her. But it sounds like she was not seen as like a relatable, kind person in high school even. And then there's that whole thing with Katy Perry and the Bad Blood song and Calvin Harris. And, you know, Katy Perry called her a mean girl too. So I don't know. I'm on the fence. I wish I knew.
If she hides it very well.
Well, that's the worst kind of mean girl, the one that can hide it well.
Maybe she's got letting some of this stuff get to her head.
I mean, how could you not? She's kind of the most... I don't think that any person like you and myself who are just normal people can fathom what it's like to be famous like that. And to not be able to leave your house without everybody knowing who you are, to not have people just like picking apart every single piece of your existence. I don't think it's possible to remain the same person and be famous like that.
Well, she did say that she embraces it. She knew what she signed up for. I mean, she's even when she's at the Chiefs games, you know, and she knows the cameras are on her, she just doesn't faze her, doesn't bother her, because she literally wanted this. She even said so in an interview. She wanted it. She knew what was going to happen. She's like, she knew it was going to happen. But speaking of relationships, and it is Valentine's Day.
Yeah. Shoot, are we going to get into our user stories?
We made a form to have people submit their like love stories, like unique. Did you meet someone? How did you meet? What's made it last? Et cetera, et cetera. But we have to read some of our submissions from our wonderful, wonderful followers. And Allyn, did you want to start out, or did you want me to start out with our little? Okay, I can do that. So the first one is from Lauren. She's also known as the Britney Archive LG on TikTok. You know her.
Oh, and yeah. She's cool.
So she said, love your podcast. Thought I'd share mine and hubby's love story. I knew him at school when I was 15. He is nearly 2 years older. I had a crush on him for ages. We had mutual friends and started speaking at a house party. After seeing each other for a couple of months at 17 years old, one night out, another party with lots of alcohol involved. He was so drunk when we got home, he asked me to finally be his girlfriend. Told me a story about us being on a boat and we have two paths that we can take. One might be bumpy and the other one might lead us somewhere bad. I thought he was ending things, and finally he got to the point and said he wanted to take the bumpy path and be his girlfriend. LOL. Then he fell asleep on the deck and went to bed. 14 years later, we are married with 2 kids and still as happy as we were back then. He's my best friend, and on the 19th of February, we will be celebrating 15 years together and 3 years married.
Aww.
So happy anniversary!
Congratulations. I have questions about that dock they were on. Was this legal, or were y'all trespassing? Because that makes it a little sexier if you were trespassing.
Do you want me to read the other email? Because this one's so cute.
Yeah.
Okay. This one is from my Arctic ass on Instagram. She is awesome. I call her like an ass kicker because she's just really blunt and stuff. And she said, I met my boyfriend on Tinder 3 years ago when neither of us was looking for a long-term thing. He didn't have a car then, so our first date, I picked him up from his friend's house in a rich neighborhood in my very used Hyundai that was loud as hell. You could hear me coming from a block away. I took him on a low-income date. We grabbed a cheap cup of coffee at Tim Hortons, and I took him to my favorite public park. This park has an open-air gondola type thing with benches and a roof, and it was nighttime and lightly raining but warm out. We ended up talking for hours, and we had plenty of wild stories about our lives to exchange. He was so open and honest with me that I felt totally comfortable with him, and hours later, I brought him back to my place because we didn't want to stop talking. My cat is wary of new people, so she hid for 2 hours and then decided to come out and investigate. She sat on the floor in front of him, looked him up and down for a minute, and then hopped right up in his lap and made herself comfortable like they've been their friends for years, which she never usually would do. 3 years later, he's still best friends with the cat, and I wouldn't trade my tiny family for anything. He's been by my side through the worst. When I hurt my back so bad I couldn't sit down, stand up, or walk without help, he walked me to the bathroom and even helped me pull my pants down because I couldn't do it. The poor guy had to help me sit down and stand up off the toilet, and he did it with love and never complained once. When I got incredibly sick from COVID and took over a year to recover, he took great care of me and never made me feel like a burden. Aww. Jay, if you see this, I love you very much, and I'm so grateful we found each other in this crazy world.
Aw, that's so sweet. It's okay. She said Tim Hortons. Is that Canadian, or do we have those here? Because I think I've only heard it.
We have a couple Tim Hortons here because it's in my state.
Oh, okay.
So Canada has
Canada.
Tim Hortons.
Canada.
Tim Hortons has crossed the border because I literally go there every day. I'm in the office for work.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah,
gotcha.
Every day.
Oh, that was a sweet story.
I know.
I liked that one. Hey, pause. You should tell everybody about your love story.
You want me to tell everybody about my love story?
Yeah, because it's so nice. And then we'll read more of theirs.
Okay, so my love story starts out last year around January, February, when I was meeting all these people talking about like the crazy things surrounding Britney Spears. And you know, our little community, we keep meeting people and coming together. Well, one of the TikTok creators on here, he's a sound engineer, and he helped a lot of us Britney creators break down some sounds in the background and things about echo recognition and how far away a voice is. It was great, and slowing down and speeding up things. Anyway, one day I decided to have a live with a bunch of us on, and I invited him on because, you know, people were wanting to talk about it. And after the live was over, he messaged me and said, if you're ever in London, I'd love to take you on a date sometime. And from there, we were just talking every single day. Yeah, and it's refreshing. It's a love story. I got my passport for the first time. I flew to London to see him, and I met him on September 12th. And it was like there was no weird feelings. They say if you don't get like butterflies, that you feel safe or calm with somebody, and just that's how I felt. I instantly felt like this connection. I didn't want to stop kissing him, and we traveled everywhere. He came to visit me. He came from London to visit me on my birthday, just to see me on my birthday, but he was here for 2 weeks. I'm going back in the summer. It's something you don't think could ever happen. A man that will just love all of you, even your faults, and he's sometimes the perfect mix of sensitive and caring and being like this manly man. But yeah, it's hard to find somebody like that. But yeah, we've been talking ever since last year, and we're just about to have a 6-week 6-week vacation, and we're going to Budapest and possibly Ireland and just seeing the world. And I'm really, that's a love story.
Yeah, you guys, get you a man that looks at you like Ashlyn's man looks at her. Because, like, in y'all's TikToks, I'm like, okay. Like, when you were visiting and all this, during both of your visits, but, like, the way he looks at you while you're talking, and he's just like...
Intrigued and
he loves you. So it's so sweet. It's been really sweet to watch the whole thing just unfold right in front of my eyes, because I've been there for every stage. I was on that live when he came on, and like he was flirting with you on that live, like, and we were all like, ooh. So I think y'all's story is really sweet, and I'm very excited for you guys.
I can't wait to share more, especially this summer. Because when I was in London the first time, it was only 2 weeks. We were so busy. I was so tired. I didn't have time to blog or anything like that. I didn't have service because I didn't know I thought I would have service. So this time I'm going to have international service. So I'll be live streaming, making videos.
Yeah. What
is that strange stare that you're doing?
I had not read these submissions, and so I was just glancing to see what they were. And I'm just going to read this. I haven't gotten past the first fucking sentence, but my jaw almost just fell out of my mouth. I was trying to control my face. Do it. I was trying to control my face, but you clocked it, so I'm not good at it. Okay. I don't know who this is from because this doesn't say names, but it says, not really a happy love story, but the day before Valentine's Day in 2013, I caught my husband cheating on me with my mother. We have 2 children together, and I was obviously devastated. He had cheated before, and I had forgiven him, but my mom was just another level. I caught him by hiding a voice recorder underneath the glove box, and it caught them having sex in the backseat of my car. My mom was married to my father, but he likes to live in delusion and basically say it's not true so he won't be alone. I don't speak to my parents anymore, and he is now in prison for stalking me over 4 years after that. Sometimes I think I'm dreaming and there's no way this is reality. Love the pod also. Thank you for saying you love the pod, but what the fuck? I don't know who you are. You need to message me. I have so many questions. Because these are anonymous unless you have some way to tell who said it. But even if we did know, I don't know if I'd say their name because this is very personal. But what the fuck? With your mother? With your mother?
Your mother is a terrible person. That's a whore.
Your mother was a whore.
Your daddy was a whore.
Oh
no! Listen, who could do that to their child? I don't give a. That's something that's happened time and time again. Freaking people's spouses going and sleeping with their spouse's fucking mother or father.
What kind of mother? What kind of mother? You know, I get I have complaints about parents, but what the fuck? This is a whole other level. Whore. I just can't. Wow, I'm so sorry that happened to you.
Too.
I'm almost speechless. When I saw it, I just couldn't believe it. God, I thought it was bad. I've heard a lot of times people talking about oh, they cheated with my sister or whatever, and that's horrible, but your fucking mother? Jeez. Wow. I'm so sorry. Oh.
I'm sorry too, but your mother's a fucking whore, and I'm glad you cut off communication with her, and I'm glad you cut, because you know what? Just because family's blood don't mean you gotta fucking talk to them. Fuck them. Fuck them.
Oh my God.
Jesus Christ.
Okay, I'm gonna read a sweet one. I got a palate cleanse after that. That fucked me up. Okay, here's a nice one. We did. You know what? We didn't say do you have a nice love story? We said unique. So that was certainly unique. We did. Thank you for that.
We did.
This one's from Gerard. We love him. He's a sweetheart. My husband and I each admitted years later that if our date together didn't fly, we were giving up on love and just going to become single dads. Oh, we met on Match.com. I had gone on a few match dates, and to be cautious, I always left the dates info I got on a little paper under a Spider-Man magnet on my fridge. And a few friends knew to check there if I ever went missing. We had both put on our profiles that we didn't smoke. 11/11/11 was the night of our first date. We had a nice dinner, good conversation and chemistry, and drove to a Dunkin' Donuts for coffee after. We sat in the car with coffee and talked for 2 more hours, but 2 things had us on edge: who would make the move for a kiss, and we were both jonesing for a cigarette, LOL. Well, I eventually went in for the kiss. I saw this date going places, so I bit the bullet and said, hey, listen, I smoke, and I lied, sorry, but would you mind if I got out of the car to have one? Well, he yelled, but not because of the smoking. He too wanted a cig badly, but he had spent hours earlier cleaning and detailing the inside of his car to get rid of the smoke smell and all the evidence of ashes. Needless to say, we shared a huge laugh and, of course, another kiss. Happy to say that 11/11/11 is the last first date either of us went on, and we've been together ever since and married 3 years after that first date and adopted our son a year and a half after the wedding. And now, under the Spider-Man magnet is a photo of the 3 of us. It's not an earth-shattering story. Yes, it is, Gerard, but it's real and it's ours. Oh. That is so sweet. I don't know. I'm all touched by that. Don't you cry?
I'm trying not to. I get emotional. And I'm laughing because it's hard to smoking usually turns people off. So you don't want to tell people that you're a smoker just in case. So having that, you've got 2 urges in your car, right? Look, I just wanted to light one now. You've got 2 urges. One to kiss this man, you know what I mean? Or like, tell him the fucking truth and be like, man, I really need a cigarette right now. And then he goes, man, me too. But the fact is he cared so much, his husband, to go and detail his car and clean his car out to make sure it didn't smell is just showing how much he wanted, to care for somebody, put that effort in. So it's just funny that they both smoked, and I love the fact that they're together and they have a son and they're so happy. And Gerard, I love you.
He's so sweet.
We can do more love stories on the next podcast. Maybe a different one. We can do those next time. We can wrap it up.
Yeah, I think it took us longer to get there than we meant to. So we will read the rest of them next time if you want to keep sending them. Also, I just want to say I'm really interested in doing a segment where we give you bad advice. Ask Allyn and Ashlyn.
I think that would be great.
So, I think
allegedly advice.
We're not qualified to give anyone advice, but I love giving unqualified advice. So, I think that it would be cool if we set up a little, same like how we did with the submissions for this week, if we set up a little, what do you need advice on? Tell me the story, and we can give you a judgment call. If you just need someone to give you a judgment call on something, you're stuck on a decision, you don't know what to do. I love giving opinions on this stuff.
Yeah, here's what we'll do. So just like the Google form, guys, we'll set up a new one, and it's completely anonymous and lets you choose to put your name down there. So whatever you submit, you don't have to log in or anything. You just put your question in there, and you know what? We're going to answer it for you. And I'm going to answer it in my cursing sailor attitude way, and Allyn can be the logical voice of reason, and together, with the devil and the angel on your side, you'll have to pick a path.
So am I the angel in this scenario?
Yes, you are.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I think that's what we should do, is be something really that would relate to us, and we can leave that open and change that every so often. So yeah, guys, we're going to go ahead and start that. And the new link will be in our link tree, both in our Instagram bio and the link tree in our TikTok profile, where you can get access to that. And you can fill out any kind of questions, and we'll give you our honest, alleged answers.
Yeah, unfiltered. So.
We also want to thank everybody for sending in submissions. We're sorry we couldn't get to all of them, but we are going to do a run through of them on our next podcast. But we do want to thank you for joining us on this special Valentine / Mean Girl, Nice Girl event. And I hope you guys all have a good Valentine's Day.
Okay, so tune in next week, guys, and we're going to pick back up on Valentine's Day love, as well as hopefully answering some of your questions. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah. That's going to be a fun episode.
What do we always say? Tune in or fuck off.
Tune in or fuck off.
Allegedly. Yeah,
and
I
if
hope
not,
you're all
if you
loved
don't
up.
have a
And remember to wrap
And
it
it
before
doesn't
you
always
tap
have
it.
Oh my God, yes, Trojan man.
And always spay
Remember
and
those
neuter your
commercials?
pets. Yes.
Oh,
We're just leaving you with all the advice
in-
we have. Because we're not good people, and that's what people know.
allegedly.
Allegedly.
I'm just kidding.